And what is up, YouTube? This is Space Captain with another battle report of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Skirmish. The Skaven versus the Wood Elves. This is the second matchup between me and my opponent, the Wood Elves. We rolled off and we wound up getting the Swirling Vortex. Really cool because I actually haven't played this one before. Out of all the games that I have played, we literally never roll this one. It's always, the ritual or, just something else, but Swirling Vortex, so this will be really fun. Basically, the Ritualist territory up in the north cuts off basically half of the board. So the first misconception of this, you're not trying to get in the vortex. The reason for the vortex is, imagine this big swirling vortex, 6 inches around, or in radius, just swirling up into the air, just shooting so far up into the sky through the clouds that you can hardly even see beyond it. Like, you see shapes, but it's just energy. It is the vortex. It is, souls. It's a bunch of things. But one cool thing about that is the ritual has a channeler. It has to be either a priest or a wizard or the general. So if your general isn't that, but you don't have the others, then you have to put your general right there. He can move anywhere within the vortex, but must stay within 1 inch of the vortex. So this dude, whoever is the ritual or the channeler, he's got to stay really tight to that vortex. So it's cool because it does a few things. It makes it so that you can dictate where the battle is going against a predominantly ranged warband. It just makes sense because you have this -2 cover save, basically. So it's like, if somebody's shooting at the channeler through the vortex, and they were hitting on 3s, now they're hitting on 5s and 6s. So, I mean, that's pretty intense, especially with what happened, just Wood Elves, come on. I mean, that's the best defense that I could ask for. So if you're the ritual side, you basically get to dictate where the battle goes, because what the disruptors are trying to do, they're trying to kill your guy. Like, they're after him. If he dies, basically, the game isn't necessarily over, but they win a major victory, and basically the only way that they're going to lose is if they, if they wind up having all of their forces obliterated. So let's go ahead and get into it. Oh, also, one thing that you see up there, the channeler, or actually any model for that matter, if they run into the vortex, there is a 50-50 shot that they're going to suffer mortal wounds. But the channeler, each time that the channeler suffers an unsaved wound or mortal wound, on roll 5 or more, that wound is ignored. So that's cool. And also, if you roll a 4, 5, 6, if you are within the vortex, you can actually heal a wound back. So, it doesn't stack, so it's not like I could just throw all my clan rats in there and, why would you do that? But, have them come out with like 2 or 3 more wounds than they would on their profile. You can't do that. You can't do that. So, basically, it's really risky for normal troops to go through the vortex. But, if you're the channeler, you have a 1/3 chance that you can ignore all wounds, no matter what. And then you have a 50-50 shot of I'm not sure if it was just 1 wound recovery or if it was D3 wounds recovered. But, I mean, yeah. Also, you have a 50-50 shot of taking a mortal wound, but then on a 1/3 chance, it's ignored. So, this is, you know, you can already see a bunch of benefits, a couple of drawbacks, but yeah, this is, I really like this one, especially if it's a ranged heavy warband facing off somebody who doesn't really have that much. So if it was like undead versus wood elves, this would be really cool. If it was, you know, Empire versus undead, or I'm not really sure who else doesn't really have ranged unless you run. Anyway, but you get the point. All right, so we're gonna move on. The wood elves. It's the same exact warband. So you got the Sister of the Thorn on the right. You have 6 Eternal Guard. They're not Wild Hunters or Rangers or whatever they're called in this one. The Enchantress in the center, she is a Branch Witch. And then the 3 behind her are the Sisters of the Watch. You got 20 Clan Rats for the Skaven, a Warp Fire Thrower in the center, and behind him the Engineer tinkering, making sure that they don't blow up, because, you know, if you are a fan of classic Warhammer, you will know that there's a lot of mishaps that happen with Skaven. They blow up a lot. They kill their own troops. Yeah, they're known for that. So, start off with turn 1. We wind up rolling off, and she makes the first attempt on on turn 1. So here we are. I'm lined up basically on either side of the vortex. The dice is the very center of the vortex, which is where we measure the 6-inch radius from. So I'm keeping my guy back this time. One thing I learned in previous Skaven endeavors is, you know, even in the lore, you're supposed to lead from the back. Like, don't put your dude up in there unless, like, you really think it's gonna work, you know. So, you know, he's in the back, trying to keep the Warp Fire Thrower safe for as long as possible. And, yeah, so she gets the first turn, and she starts coming at me. As you can see on the left-hand corner, or left-hand side of the board, you have the Silver Sisters of the Watch in the top left corner. The other 2 Sisters of the Watch, they are on the far right. Her Branch Witch is up top, and also the, of course, Sister of the Thorn is over there in the top right as well, the, you know, Silver Rider. So what she does is she shimmies up here, and then she, I think she's already shot at this point. She's, you know, killed at least 1 rat on either side. But she did a charge and actually wound up trying to re-roll her charge saves also. And this was as close as she got. But she's still in range. She still is able to attack my guys with at least 2 of them. But I have spears as well. So that means that for those 2 guys, I think I have at least double what they got, which is, you know, Skaven odds, makes it a little even. So it goes kind of back and forth. Here is just the turn start. I'm not sure if I actually kill anyone, but she killed 1 or 2 with ranged, and I think we just basically pillow fought. So I push forward. You know, I'm trying to definitely close that gap. Trying to put pressure from the get-go. I do not want these elves alive, you know. And meanwhile, behind the orange tree on the left, that is where my Warlock Engineer is. And then behind the orange tree on the right, that is where I wound up moving my Warp Fire Thrower. And as you can see, I envelop my opponent. I actually do really good with charge rolls, and all the ones that were short, I wound up having them connect in the front, all in the back. So I definitely enveloped these guys. It was really unfortunate that they didn't really do well on the charge rolls last time, because if they would have been in full, they probably would have killed half of these guys, and then I probably would have lost the rest of them to Battle Shock. But c'est la vie, good for me. So I come up here with the Warp Fire Thrower, and I'm just kind of like, hey, which one's your captain? So, blasted the captain out. We did combat, and as you can see, 1, 2... Yeah, she kills 2 of my guys, and I kill 2 of hers. In combat, only 1. The Warp Fire Thrower killed the other, but yeah, I wound up putting Mystic Shield on my Warp Fire Thrower. I guess I should have said that already. But, yeah, so I wind up only losing, I guess 1. Okay, so yeah, and then she winds up losing 4 guys this turn, because I used actually no, I guess I didn't do Mystic Shield this turn. I did Warp Lightning, and knocked out the Captain Sisters of the Watch, that Hornblower over there. So she wound up taking 4. Rolled a dice, but she was good. She didn't lose any from Battle Shock. And at the end of turn 1, pretty much the right side looks a lot different than this picture, but the left side is pretty much just there. Roll off for turn 2. Skaven choose the first turn. So basically, the Skaven come out in turn 2, and over here is where a bunch of charges got off. Basically, we're just trying to close the gap and just basically finish them off as soon as possible. Over on the other side, we're trying to dwindle them down, and yeah, we're trying to press on as normally as ever, I guess. So this is basically what is left over after my rounds of shooting, and this is just before combat, I believe. So it's not looking good for that one standard bear. Over here, I wind up killing a Sister of the Watch, and I think maybe 1 or 2 of my Skaven die from close combat. But on the trade-off, that standard bearer dies, and basically she kills 1 or 2 of my rats. Roll off for turn 3. The Wood Elves choose the first turn. And one unfortunate thing about my guys all being over there on her turn, she pulls off the oh man, what is it called? Something of the spite. Basically, she summons a bunch of spites, and they wreck me. I think she rolled a 9. So on 6s, a mortal wound is dealt, and she rolled 9 dice for each Skaven that was within 9 inches of her. Oh man. So I was lucky that only these 2 guys even survived, but yeah, it really evened out the odds over here for her. So on combat, as you probably guessed it, they failed a little bit. So she winds up zapping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then I lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I lose 1 more in that combat of the 2 rats that I had left on that side. And after Battle Shock, they're all gone. I roll really high on my Battle Shock. And it was 7, and I wind up losing 12 on the round total. Oh, man. Oh, so I wind up losing 5 more. So that's what happened to that Skaven. He he ran away. He was afraid. So I'm thinking, uh-oh, I thought I had this in the bag. And look at this. So basically, I just maneuver my guys because that whole side of the board is wiped out on the right side for me. So she's about to just press forward, and she decides that she's going to actually stay back a little bit because she wasn't sure if I was going to get the first turn or not. So we still argue about this just because, it really wound up showing what was going to happen for the rest of the game. So she decided to stay back, let me come forward, and, basically just pick me off. So that's what she's trying to do anyway. But roll off, and I wind up getting the first turn. So she's over here in no man's land, trying to basically get at me, hoping that she was going to get the other turn. But unfortunately, I get off the Warp Lightning and also get off the man, is it a pistol? Yeah, so his shooting weapon. So pretty much we it ends on turn 5, and I just stayed out of range of her branch wraith or branch witch. So yeah, I just stayed out of range and kept my caster alive, and yeah, that was a victory for the Skaven. A couple things I learned. Definitely the Warp Fire Thrower is a lot better than I initially thought, because you just automatically do D3 wounds. So you pick and they die. That's pretty cool, especially for Skaven. Like, there's no actual drawback unless you're trying to do more, which in games like this you're not really trying to do more than, just 3 wounds anyway, because you can't divvy it up between, because it's only one shot. So the Warlock Engineer, Warp Lightning, is really, really fun. It's basically just, like a little bit better version of the Arcane Bolt, but, it has a Skaven name, so I like it. And bodies. Just bodies. Oh my gosh. If she would have taken... she killed 7 guys and then wound up making, 5 more run away, or killed 6 guys and made 6 run away. I don't know, but that was pretty intense. For her, definitely the Fortress of Bows saved her a lot. That's what made the Standard Bearer able to take so many hits. Unleash Spites, that spell, wound up killing 6 guys. Ouch, She cast it on a 9, and I either wasn't close enough to dispel it, or I tried to dispel it, and it was just, nothing. But yeah, so she wound up rolling a 9, and that was 9 attacks on each guy. Ouch. And then Sisters of the Watch, Sisters of the Thorn, they're power players. They're really important to the Wood Elves and very versatile. So definitely MVPs. They'll probably always be on there. But yeah, that is the end. A good win for the Skaven. Even though I kind of, backed out at the end. But that's what you're supposed to do. You're trying to win. You're trying to win just as much as the other person. So, yeah, it was a good game. I enjoyed it a lot. Win for the Skaven. And thanks, y'all. Keep on wargaming.